Welcome to this week's Fireside Chat with Jesse. I am joined today by Don Wampler, president of FirstLease. Thanks for joining me, Don.
Thanks for having me.
Now, I was glad to have you on here. I miss your face over the last couple of years. We used to run into each other, I think, pretty much at every conference. And I think we finally got to catch up in Charlotte at NIFA. And looking forward to have you on here as a guest, man.
Yeah, no, I enjoy, actually enjoy watching these. I feel bad that these are probably coming to an end with you getting this low in the talent pool and invite me on. So
what are you talking about? You're in the top tier for sure, for sure. Now, it's just only up, it's only down from here. But thanks again. And for those people who might not be familiar with yourself, just kind of introduce yourself and your career to date in equipment finance.
Yeah, I guess I cut my teeth back in 2003 in equipment finance after spending about 4 years at a community bank in the credit side. Started with Canon Financial Services, a captive for Canon USA, and then spent some time at one other leasing company called Partners Capital, which, or not Partners Capital, I apologize. It was Partners Equity Capital. They've been a couple other companies since then, and then the gentleman left there, came here, and in 2006 I followed. Started on the broker side, which was my first kind of introduction to working with brokers, and then been here now going on 15 years. So it's been a nice ride here. A good company, owned by a great bank here in the Philadelphia market. So it's been a pleasure.
Are you that area out suburb of Philadelphia, born and raised? Is that where you're from?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Hamilton, New Jersey, which is actually where I live today. And I moved a couple times here in the local Philadelphia market, but ended up back in Hamilton in 2006. And so I've been in this market for my whole career.
And then as far as an overview of FirstLease, Don?
Yeah, so again, FirstLease, small ticket, $250,000 and under, focus really, pretty much generalist. Majority of our business is through the broker relationships that we have. Got a couple niches, direct reps that don't compete with our broker business, but the majority of what we're looking to do is build relationships with brokers around the country that are looking for good A, B rates for small ticket.
In any particular like yellow iron office equipment, like what typical industries are you guys focused on?
Yeah, I mean,
generalist.
Yeah, generalist as far as the brokers are concerned. I mean, again, as long as the equipment's either essential use or it generates revenue, we'll pretty much do it.
And then all over the U.S.
All over, all 50 states.
Okay. And do you have any people, or I know you guys are, and you have to forgive what town are you in again?
Yeah, so we're in Horsham, Pennsylvania, which is about 20 minutes outside of the Philadelphia area.
It's a hotbed though for equipment finance organizations, that's for sure.
I mean, just across the other side of the river in New Jersey, and obviously on this side here, I mean, there's a leasing companies. There's at least 3 leasing companies I could drive to right now in 10 minutes, and then when you cross the bridge, in that Marlin, area, there you've got another, probably half a dozen. So it's, we always say it's the Philadelphia market, Minnesota, and obviously Southern California are the 3 hotbeds for equipment financing.
There you go. That's extremely fair. And that's what was easy for me as a service provider all those years. Yeah, we're just going to go to Philadelphia, and then you could spend a couple weeks driving around to all the potential customers or customers.
Yeah, when you used to stop, you could see at least a dozen people within a couple of days.
Yeah. And then you guys have been going through some rebranding efforts lately. You just kind of want to talk through those?
Yeah, so we have a sister company called Apex Mortgage. Again, we're all subsidiaries of First Trust Bank. And the nice thing is, again, a lot of the relationships we have on the Apex side also are brokers, and some of them are brokers that do commercial mortgages, and they also do equipment financing. So it just seems like the natural transition to put these companies together and rebrand under one, so that obviously we have 2 products under one brand. And again, part of that rebranding is also rebranding our name, our logo, and so we're excited about that.
Yeah, I remember the first time that I came to your office, I was confused because on the door, I think it said Apex, and then in your conference room wall, it said FirstLease. And I was like, am I in the right spot? Because I couldn't see the conference room from the door. So
Well, it's funny. The FirstLease name is something that probably for at least 5+ years we've been talking about rebranding because, again, in our industry, obviously the word lease is starting to get out of people's mind. And again, you don't want to, have a customer that doesn't understand what they're entering into. I mean, we've always done, dollar out leases or equipment finance agreements. So really kind of wanted to rebrand, especially on the equipment side, that name to something of equipment finance.
No, and I could relate to that at my time at Lease Team. They had to rebrand to LTI because loans were the things for what loans were the majority of what people were doing for the last 10 years. Obviously, I think that's going to shift a little bit, but still, it's interesting how you get segmented into that one.
Yeah, I mean, the name sounded great when I got here, 15 years ago, FirstLease, again, we were first. And, again, obviously that's what we were doing. We were doing leasing, but, it's amazing over the years. And obviously as states, change some of their regulations on how you have to tax and everything else, we've gotten away from doing leasing and doing mostly equipment finance agreements. And so obviously want to, rebrand the name to match that.
And then, so I think pre-pandemic, you travel probably way more than I did, which is quite a bit. Obviously, from a commute perspective, I'm assuming your car appreciates the miles that you save on commuting from Jersey to, majority of people in your area have decent commutes.
Well, it was amazing. Again, I didn't realize it until you're not putting gas, and obviously the tolls on the turnpike, and that added up. Especially that first year of the pandemic where you weren't really even leaving your house. It was amazing. I usually would have car leases that were coming due, and I was always way over on the miles. It's the first time I was able ever to turn a car in and not get killed. So it was kind of nice. It was good timing for that part.
Well, and I know you have some younger kids like I do, so it was probably the good time to stay at home and get to spend some more time with family.
Yeah, I got to actually learn what my kids do, and got to chance to obviously do some things with them after school that I typically wasn't able to do. So it was nice.
Yeah, Brooke appreciated that, and then after like the year, she's like, "Okay, I'm ready for you to start traveling again."
Yeah,
When are you
no,
leaving?
I tell you, I think my home life and my office life are both the same things. When I'm traveling a lot, it seems like people are interested in me being here, for certain things, and not being on the road so much. And then the more that I'm here, in the office or at home, people are looking for me to get out and do some traveling. So there's definitely a balance there, I'm sure.
No, that's an interesting concept, and I'm sure the majority of people can relate to that. It's like I need to miss you to love you more, maybe. I don't know.
No, abstinence makes the heart go longer.
Yeah, but you've been traveling a lot recently, right? So is travel up to pre-pandemic levels?
Yeah, I would say that, the fall last year, it was, I tell you, I think I went on an 8-week period where it was, by the time I dropped my
Yeah.
suitcase down, I was repacking it again, just because things were starting to come back. And a lot of the things that, last year that usually were in the spring, it all got shoved to the fall. So, and then again, right before the pandemic is when I took over, helping out on the sales side here on the mortgage side. So there's a conference every week somewhere on the mortgage side that you could go to if you really you wanted to. So balancing again the equipment side and the mortgage side, it's getting busy again.
No, and that's kind of one of those things where hopefully you're in a position where you can pick and choose, like Minnesota in like February. Sorry, friends in Minnesota. Like, no, I'm not going to go to that. Sorry.
Miami in February sounds like a good conference.
See, and I never got that memo because I've always had a U.S. and Canada for a territory since I've been in the industry, and I always seem to end up in like Buffalo in like
Yeah.
January, just like bad. I don't know if it was bad sales timing, or just what, but
Yeah, it's funny, and at home, obviously, when I'm in, California or Miami in February and it's snowing, back here in New Jersey, I get the eyes rolling when I, complain about being on the road. But, again, the wife never remembers when I'm in like Dayton, Ohio, when it's, 5 degrees and snowing out in the middle of March. Those trips, don't seem to raise the eyebrow.
and you've been living off of bar food for like 3 nights in a row because there's no decent restaurants,
Yeah.
and yeah, no.
learned very quickly when you leave Philadelphia, you don't go for the Philadelphia cheesesteak, just like you don't go for the Brooklyn pizza, outside of the area as well.
What's interesting though is I've had better Mexican food outside of Arizona than I have had in Arizona, so it's kind of weird.
There's
But
some great places, down in
yeah,
South Texas, and there's a lot of
yeah.
start to learn where what you want to eat when you're in certain areas.
I used to watch the Food Network, and when they were talking about like the diners, drives, and whatever, I would like put them in my phone and be like, okay, next time I'm in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, I need to go to this restaurant and get like the roasted chicken.
Yeah.
But that was, I think, before my second kid, when I actually had more time to actually worry about stuff like that. Now it's like, okay, how many people am I seeing? How fast can I do that? And when can I get back home?
I'm in the same boat. I mean, usually when I'm looking at my travel arrangements and trying to figure out how quickly can I get in and out and still obviously encompass what I'm trying to do. So it's definitely a lot different with children.
Yeah. And then from a red eye perspective, I used to be all about the red eyes. Now I just recently had 2 in 1 week, and I'm starting to second guess whether or not that's an effective travel method.
Well, when you're younger, when you're much younger, obviously, the red eye is great because you just continue on with your day. Now the red eye is, yeah, you got home, but you can't keep your eyes open because I mean, I have a tough time sleeping on most planes. I mean, I'll fall asleep before it takes off, and then next thing you know, I'm like 15 minutes in the flight and think that I've been asleep for 2-3 hours. So, defeats the purpose.
No, it totally defeats the purpose. The next thing I want to chat with you about is the trade associations, Don, and what they've kind of meant to your career since you got in equipment finance.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, again, the relationships that I've been able to establish, and like the NIFA conference, I would say is the number one. Where, and again, you walk in. I mean, you walk into the cocktail reception that first night, and you look around the room, and 90% of the faces, you may not be able to put a name to every single one of them, but 90% of the faces. Maybe they have a different business card and they moved around a little bit, but the people, and again, you establish your relationships, in that group. So, again, the AACFB, we've got some great relationships in there as well. So yeah, the broker conferences are obviously our number one, thing to make sure that, we block that off every year because, again, that's where we get the majority of our business from.
No, and I can relate. NIFA is like a giant family. I unfortunately have never been to what it used to be NELB. Is that the AACFB now?
Yeah,
So
the AACFB was the combination of the NAELB and the old UAEL for the West Coast.
okay. Yeah, I've never went to one of those. As a service provider, typically you'd focus more on the funding sources and the independents than the actual brokers. But from a NIFA perspective, that was my first ever conference in 2005. And if anything, I just felt like I was extremely young at the time. Like, who are these people? But they were all extremely friendly, and there's a lot of those people that I'm still really good friends with today.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely I always say it's definitely like a family because I mean, I will say that they welcome new faces. Obviously, everybody gets tired of probably seeing each other's same face. I mean, it's nice to see that, but when you're looking for new business, you're looking for a new face to see if again what the opportunity is. So yeah, I mean, whether you've been to 15 of them or it's your first one, I feel like everybody gets to know each other very quickly.
So when this one airs, it'll be kind of a week before the upcoming funding symposium. Like, what advice would you have for people that are attending their first NIFA conference?
Yeah, I mean, it's just don't be scared to go and introduce yourself to somebody. I mean, and again, I think the group itself does a really good job of finding new people, and then obviously finding out what they're there to try to achieve, and then bring them around to others in the group to make sure. I mean, the last one I was at in Charlotte, there was one of our brokers that again is really doing a great job, but I knew what they were looking for, so I tried to take them around to some of the other funders as well to say, hey, this is somebody you may want to talk to, because they may fit this box, or remember that deal that we couldn't do 2 weeks ago. I think they can do it, whether it's size or the type of transaction, whatever it is, and I think NIFA really, again, if you're a broker, NIFA has everything you could possibly want from a funding source. Somebody there will be able to handle your transaction. So it's a good group.
Perfect. And I think we just crossed 300 registrations for that event. So
Yeah, no,
Looking
looking
forward
forward
to
to
it.
it. All that attendee list. It looks great.
So I ask everyone who comes on here to provide a little fun fact about themselves. So I'm not sure if there's anything you would like to share. This is recorded. It is going to be online. So just take that into, you know.
Yeah, a fun fact. I don't know if I have any fun facts about me anymore. Yeah, again, avid golfer. Obviously, love golf. Try to golf as much as I possibly can. Um, I have a terrible case of OCD. I learned last night. I'm currently right now, in the mix of renovating my garage, and my wife's been screaming at me because she doesn't understand that I'm out there painting it certain colors and doing some things out there, and it looks like I'm trying to build my own home out there. So
I mean, the simulator, you have to be comfortable around your golf simulator.
I
So
would I would love a golf simulator if I could figure it out where you park a car and have a golf simulator. That would be the goal. But
you might have to reach out to Jeff Elliott at Huntington. He has one.
yeah, well, that's right. I was trying to see if we could start financing some here so that maybe one gets bad and it happens to end up at my house. So that would be nice.
It's defective.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. So I guess my final question I have for you, I asked everyone on here, just why do business with FirstLease?
We're again in this age of fintech, where everybody's trying to get to that, as quickly as you possibly can get an answer doing. I think we're human here, which is nice because again, especially when you're working in the broker community, every deal is different. It's I always I fight our credit policy because obviously you put a credit policy together, but it's tough to have a credit policy when you are working in the broker community because everything's gray. And so to be able to look at a deal and make a decision off of a story and work with a broker to try to help them out. I think for what we do, $250,000 and under small ticket, I think we're a really good source for that. And again, we'll dive into something that maybe somebody else would pass on a first look.
Now, and just to add to that, the tenure of your employees that you have, the culture that I've seen within your walls there, it's a good organization.
Yeah, I mean, we've got people that have been here 20 plus years. Again, and during the pandemic, I mean, again, we didn't obviously lay anybody off, which was great to see. The bank, First Trust, same thing. They didn't have any layoffs. Again, it's a great family environment, and it's again, it's what's kept me here so long.
And I should have asked this earlier. Sorry for the flow of this question, but did you shut down your office? Were you business essential? Did you have to go in or?
Yeah, no, I was, just like everybody else, kind of that mid-March, we sent everybody home. Again, obviously it's nice in this day and age to have the technology to be able to continue to work from home.
No.
But it was, again, we never stopped lending, which was great, and obviously, we were able to just to, the first couple of weeks there was, some bumps in the road like everybody had, but, I think within a month or so, I mean, we were, basically rocking and rolling like nothing changed. And we did have some essential employees here, again, making sure we got the mail, and some of the people in the accounting department that, decided they wanted to continue to come to the office. So, that was nice. But we're back now on a hybrid schedule, which seems to be working pretty well for everybody. And, it's nice to obviously see everybody, day to day when we can be here in the office.
Yeah, that's always the biggest question, right? From a culture perspective, especially with like younger people that might not have been in the organization for 20 plus years. How do you maintain that culture in a hybrid environment or even a pure remote perspective?
Yeah, we had some employees that just flourished at home. I mean, not that they, weren't performing here in the office, but it seemed like being, at home with no distractions works for some people. Again, obviously there's people that make complete careers out of working from home. I struggled with it in the beginning. I mean, it was tough for me. My kids were home, and they were on, video cameras, and you're trying to make sure that they're paying attention in class, and also trying to pay attention, what you're doing. And that was rough, in the beginning. But then, like I said, you get into a flow and it becomes kind of normal.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of us can relate to that in regards to all of a sudden it's like, okay, now I have to be doing this. I've been working from home since 2010 when I had joined Lease Team at the time. And it's one of those situations, Don, where it's like, I find myself working more now since this happened than before. Just because it's like, oh, 8 o'clock at night, I want to get a head start on tomorrow. Let's go. This other person's online, let's tackle this now.
I was in the same boat. I mean, there were some mornings where you just wake up, at 5 o'clock in the morning because, and you can't get back to sleep. So you're like, might as well, throw a pair of jeans on and a sweatshirt and head down the hallway and start working. And then, next thing you know, it's 6:30 and you're being called downstairs for dinner, and you're like, where did they go?
Which is both
many days like that.
Which is both good and bad, because that's the biggest challenge I see coming out of this, is that work-life balance where, you leave work and typically work stays at work. And now it's like, well, no, you can log in at home. We gave you that technology. And it's like, oh.
Well, yeah, again, obviously, the smartphone was the beginning of that, of, you can't escape it. You're always able to obviously be available, and then to turn around and now, you got your computer on 24 hours a day. It's, there was days where, again, I'd look down at, the Fitbit and it'd be like, I had 12 steps on the day, I didn't move. It's like, I think the Fitbit was one, if it was wondering if I was still alive or
not. Well, I really appreciate your time today, Don. I look forward to seeing you here in a couple weeks in Newport Beach. And, thank you again, man.
No,
appreciate it.
Talk to you.
All right. We'll talk soon, sir. Take care.
All right.